Crisis worsens, the international community is also lending a helping hand to assist the country in its time of need. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says the United Nations will appeal to the world for more aid for the affectees. Qureshi has thanked UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon for his efforts in the appeal. The aid from the appeal will be an addition to the 224 million pledged by various countries and agencies at the International Donors Conference. Let's discuss the international community's efforts and their impact further with Senior Officer for the International Peace Institute, Naureen Chowdhary Fink, joining us now from New York. Thank you very much for joining us, Naureen. How can we analyze the current efforts made by the international community to help the IDPs?
Well, as I understand it, the situation with the IDPs has gone far beyond what anybody expected. I understand the numbers are now beyond 2,300,000, and I understand that Prime Minister Gilani now has asked for increased international assistance because what's been coming in is far too little. And I understand that the UN is actually starting their appeal for humanitarian assistance on Friday. And we hope to see increased numbers of increased amounts of resources coming in for that. But I understand that given that the season this time of year and the number of development challenges that Pakistan already faces on a day-to-day basis, that this is going to be an increasingly untenable situation and one that really threatens a lot of the social stability in Pakistan, not just now but also in the short to medium term.
Naureen, you were part of a team which made a report on the counter-terrorism efforts made by regional bodies in South Asia. What has your research revealed with regards to Pakistan?
Well, what we found primarily in terms of a regional effort to address the challenges is that while the rhetoric has been good and there seems to be some willingness at the political level to discuss it, the will to actually enforce the situations, to implement the conventions and protocols via SARC has been lacking, and primarily this is due to the tensions between India and Pakistan. SARC has made a number of attempts to declare its desire to address the terrorist threat on a regional level. However, without support from both India and Pakistan and without a resolution in their bilateral relationship, regional efforts to date seem held hostage to the difficult political dynamics between the two.
Naureen, you have endorsed the establishment of a technically focused counter-terrorism center operating under the UN to help eliminate regional militancy. How do you see such a body work in Pakistan?
Well, what we propose, there are in fact two examples already for such a body. One is in the Horn of Africa, it's called ICPAT, and one is in Jakarta, the Jakarta Center for Law Enforcement Cooperation. Both these bodies operate in fairly political sensitive areas, and what they really promote is assistance among the key people on the ground is sort of capacity building among key people on the ground addressing the threat: law enforcers, police, prosecutors, forensic capacity, legislation and drafting. And so what we felt what would be really important in South Asia is to develop the kind of forum for capacity building where practitioners from each of the countries can really meet, not only to develop confidence in each other, but to strengthen regional capacities for cooperation, because as we all know, the threat goes far beyond political boundaries, and it really is not possible for any single country to address the challenge by itself. So we feel that such a center, wherever it's located in the region, can provide not only opportunities to build internal capacities in each country, but develop the necessary regional relationships to sort of form a stronger collective effort to address terrorism. And like I said, the examples in the Horn of Africa, as well as the example in Jakarta, provide two very different but incredibly useful examples for how we might be able to achieve this.
And finally, how can we analyze the current army operations in the Northwest? Do you see their progress as the right step in dealing with the regional militancy?
Difficult question in the sense I think many of us have been waiting to see a decisive move by the Pakistani government and the army to once and for all stem the tide of the Taliban's progress. I think the realization may have come a little late that in fact the Taliban really their increasing confidence and their assertiveness shows how much they feel that they can threaten the social stability and security of the Pakistani state. So in many ways, I think this offensive by the military is something we all expected to see, in fact, much earlier. Of course, in many ways, it also reflects the fact that the army has been geared much more for a conventional conflict and has not employed the kind of counterinsurgency training or put in place the kind of medium to long-term counterinsurgency tactics that we would have hoped, perhaps, to see in a situation like this to reduce the impact it has on civilians and the sort of blanket violence that the civilians have been subjected to, I think, makes it incredibly problematic, and I hope that we can move to a more sophisticated targeting of the challenge.
Thank you very much for talking to us, Naureen. That was an insightful perspective on regional security from Naureen Chowdhary Fink, Senior Program Officer for New York-based think tank, the International Peace Institute.